Today's voiceover talent is more than just a pretty voice.
Pretty voice.
Pretty voice.
Today's voiceover talent has to be a boss.
A boss.
Join us each week for business owner strategies and success with your hosts Ann Ganguzza and Gabrielle Nistico, along with some of the strongest voices in our industry.
Rock your business.
Rock your business.
Rock your business.
Like a boss.
Like a boss.
Rock your business like a boss.
Rock your business like a boss. A VO boss.
A VO boss.
A VO boss.
Hey, welcome everybody to the VO Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Ann Ganguzza, along with my VO Boss, bestie, busty, web cohort, partner in crime, Gabby Nistico. Hey, Gabby.
Hello.
You and I both, I think, are dealing with, a very important part of our businesses, and that is, our websites.
Oh, web growth. Oh,
Web growth. It's like a disease, web growth.
It almost is. I feel like, you have your moments of like, if I could marry the internet, I would. And I have my moments of I want a divorce. So.
Yeah, normally I do want to be married and partners forever. And then something goes wrong with my website. Oh my gosh, Gabby. Okay, I remember back in the days when I worked in tech and IT, and it used to be a thing when your website went down, when your email didn't work, and then it just becomes this like knot in your stomach. Because that thing that you've depended on now, right, to run your business, to have your life function, it seems, is now unavailable. Or something is wrong with it, and it's like the clock starts now. And then you've got to feverishly figure out what's going on. How can I fix it? What can I do? Let's talk about our websites, and what they mean for our businesses today, especially.
Sites and having a site and maintaining a site and owning a site, all of it. It's fascinating to me how many of us have them and how few of us actually understand them and how they work. And really how the web works. I mean, I'll be the first to admit it. I don't know. It's like magic. It's some kind of crazy sorcery that I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know all the intricacies. I know enough to get by, but that doesn't always make for the best situation.
And well, therein lies the fear factor, right? Because it's something that we're not sure about, or most of us. I mean, nobody can possibly know it all. I think that I have a good idea of the concept of it and how things should operate, but I certainly by no means do I know everything about how I need to keep my website going or the technical aspects behind it. I depend on people to help me to keep those running. I mean, I'm fortunate that I have as much knowledge as I do, but again, if I didn't, I would not have been working in IT for 20 some odd years. So,
and the other thing is, I mean, it's a still evolving, ever-changing technology. It's not sitting. It's always moving and doing and changing. And I mean, I look at it this way. If you and I have moments of frustration and aggravation with our sites and the web, I can only imagine for somebody who's just starting out right now.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I think it's good that we're talking about it, because I want you guys to know that yes, it is scary. It's scary for me, and it's scary for Gabby, and we've been doing this for a while. And so number one, that yeah, it's scary. Technology can be scary, but I do want to reiterate, if I haven't said it 100 trillion times before in our podcasts, how important a website is to your business. It is literally your storefront. And we can talk to that first, Gabby.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when it wasn't. I remember not having a website, and it was okay to not have a website. It wasn't a critical component of how people found you and how you booked work. And I mean, it was really, I think, in less than a decade, it went from a tool hardly used to a tool that is now, we can't live without it.
Yeah. It's so important that if we want to be successful businesses, it's so important, I think, to have that digital component, to have that storefront, especially because we are freelancers. We are most of the times working from home, and it is a way for us to market our business and to establish a professional presence online so that people can, again, marketing 101, know, like, and trust us. And that is a critical component for it.
Well, yeah, the other piece of that is that, of course, along with your marketing analogy, you have to be where the buyers are. You have to be where the audience is, and everyone's on the web.
Yeah.
There's no all the time.
I'm on the web all the time, right? And I'm looking for things on the web. Do you remember libraries, Gabby?
I do, fondly.
You remember? Yeah.
I was in one 2 weeks ago, but it was only to use the restroom.
Gosh.
Yeah, I had a moment. It was sad.
It has become. Gosh, I remember. Now I'm dating myself, but I remember when we used to have to do research for our term papers, which we had every year when I was in school. We would have to go to the library. Had to have a library card, and we had to check books out. Oh gosh,
we had to know the Dewey Decimal System.
That's right. We had to write notes on paper, that kind of thing. But anyways, I digress. It is now, today, the internet is such a tool at our fingertips. We can research, we can find knowledge, and people are doing that for businesses today. I mean, I research businesses online all the time. I look at websites all the time. I'm making assessments. Do I want to purchase from this website? How do I feel about this particular, product or service or person? And I'm constantly looking at this digital storefront and assessing my value of trust and judging credibility of the businesses that I do work with. And they are doing the absolute same for you. So I think, Gabby, we should talk about our professional websites and what is important for these websites and what to maybe be on the lookout for.
I think the big thing that people sometimes lose sight of is the reasons why a person who's looking to hire a voice actor is going to go to a website. And ultimately, it's to hear us. It's to hear what we do and our demos, and basically to try to find a sample that in some way is similar to or matches whatever need it is they have. And so, rule number one, I think, across the board has become demos on the homepage, front and center, easy to find, easy to access.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe even right up alongside of that. In first place for important things to have on your webpage is your contact information. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've had to hunt around for contact information. And the fact that it actually exists on a webpage, I think, is truly important, because that means that you can be found. You are making yourself available as a business to be there to answer questions, to be there to provide a credible presence. If I can't find a phone number of a website or help online or somebody that I can contact to answer a question, I'm done with that site and I go on to the next one where I can, because I think I still crave, as a consumer, I crave that contact, to know that I can talk to someone, to know that I can be taken care of by a human being at the other side of that digital screen.
Yes, and I agree with you there. I do still think it's important, but I will play devil's advocate in that the new consumers and the younger generation, they don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want to. They don't make phone calls. They don't leave voicemails. They don't, a phone number to them is completely inconsequential. So while I do think you have to cater to both parties, it is important to know that the information they are looking for, the newer generation, to find you, to reach out to you, to communicate with you, may be different.
Yes.
They may be looking for, what number can I text?
Exactly.
Or do you have an instant chat feature?
Yes.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Absolutely. I think sometimes, though, depending on your audience, again, who you're trying to attract, and understand that as the years go on, I think it's going to, go by the way that Gabby is saying right now with the texting and the instant chat, which I use as well. But there are times also to resolve issues. Or to, get things straightened out quickly. I prefer to also have a method of making myself available via a phone call. And of course, text, of course. But when you're dealing with international or, kind of a global clientele, I do think that your texting and your chat app that you can have on a website is very helpful because not everybody wants to, call an international number. And, what's really awesome for that, by the way, IPDTL. I contact a lot of clients via IPDTL. And there's also, Bidalgo call, right, that you can use to contact your clients or have a session with them to discuss things that might help resolve issues quicker.
That's true. That's a good point. One of the things that I'd like to try to do in this episode is really address what the trends are, what we're seeing with the web right now, what's important. Similar to the whole, new school versus old school methods, I think a lot of what web owners are starting to understand is that our generation, we remember a time without the internet. We remember when it was a new technology. We've seen its evolution. New buyers have never not known the internet, which is crazy. But also what comes with that is their level of knowledge, their trust in the platform, and their understanding of how it works is so much greater. And so now we're seeing high school age kids are able to build and maintain and put together a pretty decent looking website. These are common skills. So that means that as businesses, we have to up our games even more because we can't have something that looks homemade or amateurish or,
Yeah, and there's a lot of technologies out there that allow you to maintain or create a website of your own. I'm still going to get halfway up on my soapbox and mention that I do believe that if you don't feel confident in your skills in creating a professional-looking website, that you hire somebody that can. Go to websites that you frequently shop at. What makes you want to stay on that website? What makes you trust that website? What makes you want to pull out your credit card and say, yes, right? This is what I'm looking for. This is I will purchase. What are the qualities of those websites that you see? And try to create that on your platform, on your website as well.
The view from up here on the soapbox is quite lovely. I always enjoy this view with you, Anne. You have to steer the ship, much like any other part of your business, much like your demos. You cannot simply put blind faith, blind trust into another party that you are going to hire because you say, oh, I don't know anything about this.
Right, exactly.
That is not an acceptable way. That's
You're
not
the
boss.
director here.
Yeah, that's not, it's just not boss. It's just not. You have to have a sense of what do I like, what don't I like, why, and also, again, what applications, what features, what things do I need for my consumer? Because your web designer, web developer, that's not necessarily the knowledge they have. You know your product, your audience, they just know the web.
There are a couple different things to consider here. A programmer that might put together your website and handle back-end technical things, determining what platform is it going to be a Wix site, is it going to be a WordPress website, whatever it is. Those types of technical things are one particular type of person. A person that designs a website that is easily navigated, that looks pleasing to the eye, that could be a different person. So understand that you might be working with a company that has a team of people that may handle the technical aspect and the design aspect, the graphical aspect of your website. Know that if you have a person, they might be good at one and maybe not the other.
My experience, anyway, I've always seen those two people as just that. They're two separate people. I have yet to find a designer and an IT back-end person all in one that are really great. They tend to be very different functions. And now we're seeing another phenomenon. We're also seeing a third component in web development, which is writing.
Oh, goodness, yes, Gabby. Yes.
For a long time, right, that was sort of the afterthought. Now, because of the game that is SEO and because of how difficult it is to be found on the web and the sea of content that's out there, content is king has been the mantra for a long time with the internet. But now people are realizing, oh man, it has to be good content.
It does.
It has to be, yeah.
It has to be clear, concise.
It has to have the right language, the
yes,
right...
absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree more.
It becomes like advertising meets art, meets function, meets tech.
Well, I'm always telling people who are asking me to assess their online presence, who are you and who are you as a business? Because let's say I know nothing about voiceover and I happen upon your website, am I going to know what types of services you provide? There's so many people that are out for the pretty, uncomplicated look of things. But I love that you mentioned the writing because, Gabby, you have to be clear and concise. What do you offer? What do you provide? And what type of services? And if you don't have that written in your website, it can't be found because that's kind of how Google works, right? It works on words.
Yeah, and that's the tough part. I think, people have long sought the clean, clear, beautiful, crisp, graphic-heavy website. But when I do a web consult for people, it's one of the first things I look at. And if I don't see any text, I'm like, so it's beautiful, but no one knows how to find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Google's kind of lost right now.
Google doesn't know what to do with that.
When you're planning your website, when you're in those early stages, decide something really important. Do I want a website that is simply a calling card? Meaning, just like a business card, I have to physically put the website into people's hands. I have to get it out there and make sure that I'm funneling traffic to it, sending people to it. Or do I want a website that brings organic traffic? Because those are two very different things.
Bing, 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 bing. I'll take that second one, please.
I want people to find me. I can't understand why you wouldn't. But I do get it. There's some folks who they want to have that really just almost like stark, kind of mysterious. And that's cool, but you've got to work that website for it to be effective.
That's a whole lot more marketing on your end.
Yeah, I know.
If you're going to give people your URL. Otherwise, having people find your website is a whole lot better. I think a whole lot easier because I could be sleeping and they can find me and then say, oh, I like her voice. Let's try to hire her. Let me send her an email. Right.
The problem with that is then you're sleeping and they find you and they want you to record something. So. But it's true. If I want the super clean, clear, posh site, that's like having a marketing tool that requires more marketing.
Exactly.
It is a little bizarre.
Today's society is an educated consumer, really. And I think that when we buy something, we want to really be able to understand the product that we're buying. We want to be able to find out information about it. And I think that's why branding is so important as well, to have a reflection on your website and of your brand so that people can get a sense of who they're going to be working with. And that has so much more impact, I think, than most people think. They think, okay, I'm going to get a website up, and it becomes like the last item on their priority list. And it's like, okay, yes, so I got my demos up there, I got my contact, and everything is there on one page. And then they stop, and they don't think about, oh, well, what makes me want to go to a website and buy off of it? Is it fast? Does it come up right away? That's a whole nother aspect of your website that you do need to consider. If you've got a lot of things happening on it and it doesn't come up very quickly, we're very impatient. We're a very impatient society.
I don't see the web. I don't see that there will ever be sort of like a nostalgic web appreciation where people will go backward, like on a time capsule type site and look back and go, oh, remember that? Oh, look how great. No.
Unless they want to kind of chuckle at it, because there is actually a really cool website out there. If you ever wanted to look at like projects you did on another website, or like the one that I used to work on like in 1994 or 6, and it archives old websites, and you can kind of look at it and go, oh my God, look how cheesy that was.
Oh yeah, no, to laugh for sure. But I mean, none of us are going to like miss the good old days. No.
Oh, I don't think so. No.
It's just like video games, right? The forward momentum is always going to be there. I'm gonna make my closing statement the following. I just want people to know that the voice actors and the creative professionals that have, in my opinion, the most successful websites and the sites that are really doing something for their business, those same individuals are very hands-on with their websites.
Yes.
They don't simply set it and forget it and walk away. They are actively, continually learning and evolving with that site.
There is something to be said, Gabby, to evolving with the changes on the web. And there are trending looks and trending feels to websites. And I certainly don't want to go to a website, that I feel was created back in the 1990s and hasn't evolved, because that makes me worry a little bit about whether the business has evolved as well. Of course, still up on my soapbox like I always am. I still just want to say, guys, it may take an investment to do this, and don't think about that last. It really is a huge part, I think, of your business to have that online presence. And even today, I'm going to say, there are some veterans out there in the industry that have done so well throughout the years, and they still have very strong voiceover careers. Even now, like, their agents are saying to, get their websites up to date, get their social media up to date.
Yeah.
Because, and you don't want to seem to be outdated. So I think that fresh looks, you have to continually evolve with the looks and the trends. I guess my big word of wisdom would be, yes, it is an investment. And if you hire somebody to do that, make sure you have every bit of information that you need in order to maintain that site, meaning a login and a password. Do not pay somebody and not get that. And guys, it's okay. Just as you evolve your skills in voiceover and you take voiceover classes, I think the same thing can be said for your online professional presence.
Yeah, don't become a Hall & Oates song. Yeah.
I'd like to give a big shout out to the forward-thinking, always evolving in technology sponsor, IPDTL, who we love and allows me to connect with Gabby on practically a daily basis.
Sometimes twice daily.
Sometimes twice daily. You can find out more at ipdtl.com.
And that's a cool thing, because really both of our sponsors, they're web innovators. They're technologically advanced companies. And I think that's one of the reasons why we like them so much and why we're able to get behind them. And of course, I'm also talking about voiceovers.com. So these guys have come on the scene and are really trying to do something very different with the process of online casting and, again, change it for the better.
They're disrupting things, guys.
But it's a good disruption.
In a good way.
Efficient, fair, transparent. Check them out.
Okay, guys, have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Join us next week for another edition of VO Boss with your hosts, Ann Ganguzza and Gabby Nistico. All rights reserved. Ann Ganguzza voice talent in association with 3 Moon Media. Redistribution with permission. Coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.